I decided to spend 100 days playing PIXELMON in SKYBLOCK. This is how it went. On day 1, I did, of course, the only thing you could do, which was pick a starter Pokemon. I chose Charmander for a few reasons, which I'll get into later, but mostly just to fly around right now. I spawned on top of this tree on the very starting island and just started going after this tree. Once I destroyed the tree, I made sure that I got as many saplings as I could, which ended up only being 1 for now. And then I opened my starter chest and got a healer, ice, and a lava bucket. I was already running out of room, so I decided that the next best thing to do would be to make a bunch of oak slabs and expand my island. After doing that, it was time to train up my Charmander and finally get something better than a level 5 starter Pokemon. So I started beating up lots of low level Pokemon, which it seems like the PIXELMON mod started spawning close to me. As the game progresses, it would spawn higher level Pokemon. The good thing about defeating PIXELMON is that you actually get items every time you beat them, and so coming from SKYBLOCK where you get no items, it's a great way to start building some resources. I made sure to get most of the dirt on my island. You saw one just fall off the void, rest in peace. But with that dirt, I was able to build some more things like a cobblestone generator. This would give me essentially infinite building items to work with, and yeah, all I needed now was a oak pickaxe made out of wood that I needed from another tree. While mining for some cobblestone, my Charmander evolved into a Charmeleon. And off to mining for me. Once I got enough wool, I made a bed and slept the night away. On day 3, I actually started making stone tools, which is already better than I thought I might do during this challenge, and I was very happy to start cutting down trees quite a bit faster and mining that cobblestone quite a bit faster. One of the PIXELMON actually knocked me into the void as I was battling them, and this would actually happen quite a bit during this challenge, and I was not happy about it. I made some leather armor that wouldn't come in handy, but maybe just make me look cool. And I got an apricorn from one of the PIXELMON that I defeated, and this way I could start making Pokeballs once I actually got enough iron for the base. And another PIXELMON knocked me into the void here, so you know what that means. Time to start over. And here was a special boss Minum that I decided to fight, and it didn't go very well for me, I'll tell you that. After all this dying and losing and whatever else, I decided to branch out to new territory, which happened to be this birch sapling and flower island. There were a few of these islands that spawned nearby, and I hope to get to all of them pretty soon. And believe it or not, I got pushed off the ledge again. I had beaten some Voltorbs, which actually gave me iron bases and Pokeball lids, which made me 2 Pokeballs, and of course I died and they fell into the void. Here was another boss. It was a Tandy Mouse, and that beat me as well. This random shopkeeper spawned, and it didn't have a skin, and it was really weird, and it made me uncomfortable. After beating this Slugma, my Charmeleon evolved into a Charizard. The best part about Charizard is the flying. He's super overpowered for this challenge, and that's so awesome because I can fly anywhere I want now. And I caught a level 35 Torkoal. Now it was time to put that Charizard to good use, and I started flying to all those extra islands that spawned around the starter island. This one had azalea leaves and an azalea tree, and just kind of a few cool items that I would assume you can't get in vanilla Minecraft playing SKYBLOCK. This one was the sand island, which had cacti and sand and 10 obsidian. And this last island was kind of funky. It actually had a bunch of turtle eggs, sculk catalysts, and all other sorts of weird stuff. And on day 9, I flew far into the distance beyond the plains to try to look for some new biomes. And days 10 through 12, I spent mining lots of cobblestone because I was tired of not having any. This boss Farfetch I thought I could take, and believe it or not, I could. I beat it and beat my first boss Pokemon of the challenge, and got some cool items. And made more Pokeballs because I wanted to catch this Electabuzz. It was level 32 and I wasn't sure if I'd get him in time, but I got super lucky and caught him. I started putting some of my cobblestone to use by expanding my island on day 13. It was really easy now to plant saplings because I had room for him, and I found a move tutor, but I didn't have the right resources to use moves with him. And I caught the Zorua. I started building my house too, so I had somewhere to put all my stuff instead of just in the middle of the island. I put some carpet down on the floors and nice cobblestone roofing and all sorts of nice stuff that I feel like I didn't even realize I could get in this challenge. And once I finished the final parts of the roof, my house was done on day 15. After cutting down trees during the night and then sleeping, I was ready for a great day full of organizing all of my stuff. By day 16, I had acquired so much stuff, and this is all you're seeing right now on the screen with my chests. I was very proud of all my organizing. On day 17, I found this pink Pidgey, and I knew enough about Pokemon to know that Pokemon aren't pink like that in general. And here it is, a pink Pidgey. I guess it's part of the PIXELMON mod, and I was going to have it with me on my team. I also spent some time exploring and mining more cobblestone because I kept running out. With all this cobblestone, I was making slabs so I could travel to places and also expand my island. This time I used the cobblestone to expand out very far because I wanted to see if I can start building some platforms elsewhere where new Pixelmon would spawn instead of just the plains biome where my spawn was in. And my Pidgey evolved into Pidgeotto. After remaking some leather armor, I made a platform in the mangrove swamp where, of course, new Pokemon were spawning. This time there was all kinds of weird swamp Pokemon like Garbodor and Corphish. There was even Pokemon like Surskit, the common boss here, that I was able to beat with ease. And days 21 through 29, I spent a lot of time here. I spent the time mining cobblestone and also kind of just looking for new Pokemon. I was so tired of the plains Pokemon being boring. And so I trained up my Pokemon here, and as you can see, my Charizard got up to level 57. I was also hoping to beat these Shelmet that gave me iron nuggets because I didn't know if I could get iron any other way. On day 30, I flew out in search of new lands because I was getting kind of tired of the mangrove swamp now. I traveled all day and finally found a new place that I wanted to settle, so I started removing some of the spawnable blocks from my swamp and now moved them to Taiga. In the Taiga, there were new Pokemon again, and I was really happy that I figured out this way to spawn new Pokemon. On day 34, I did this again with a snowy taiga, and snowy Pokemon started spawning like Snover and Vanillite. and on day 35 I flew around kind of looking for a specific biome, and this one actually happened to work. It's called Jagged Peaks, and I knew on Jagged Peaks I might get some more metallic Pokemon that would drop gems and crystals and all kinds of iron that I needed to progress in Skyblock. And sure enough, I was right. On day 36 I started training and expanding this little chunk of land where I could start beating mobs that would have the right materials for me. The next day I also decided to make a PC because I had filled up all my 6 Pokemon slots, and now when I caught new Pokemon I wanted to be able to see them and use them in battle. I put chests on my Jagged Peaks biome, and I spent quite a bit of time here because I needed iron and aluminum bad. You could see I have a little bit here already, but it was also a great way for me to train up this team of new Pokemon that I was capturing and also using along the way, like Charizard. This battling lasted days and nights and days and nights, and I was pretty happy with the progress, and it got addicting. I wasn't even thinking about how much time I was spending here. This will happen a couple times during the video, but I got very excited and even found a shiny Geodude. There's bad news though. I did not have any Pokeballs on me, and I think I only had one at home, and so I actually flew all the way home to go grab it just in case it didn't despawn, but sure enough it did, and so I lost my first shiny of the series. But I did find this boss Tandy Mouse, and now I'm a lot stronger than when I found the first one in the first few days, and so Charizard put him to sleep. These bosses were coming in handy because I was starting to get things like rare candies, which are very overpowered. I also started to make my nether portal on day 47 because it had been too long and I had not gone to the nether yet. So I built this portal right next to my house and lit it up with flint and steel and traveled new lands. Once I was in the nether, there was a very similar setup to when we first spawned in, and there was end portal frames and netherite upgrades and all kinds of islands nearby. I was really happy that the Skyblock world that I used actually had stuff in the nether. I collected all sorts of shroomlights and warped stems and weird blocks, and then actually diamonds from the chest too, which would come in handy for the PIXELMON healers that I wanted to craft. There was also these high level dual blades that dropped tons of iron everywhere in the nether. So I didn't really need to go anywhere else to look for iron. I already had almost a stack in that clip there, and I went back for a few days here to collect as much iron as possible because I needed iron for all kinds of stuff in Minecraft, and this was perfect training too because all the mobs were high level. Once I got back, I had plenty of iron for what I needed and started using it to craft all kinds of stuff. Here I decided to make cauldrons because I wanted to start collecting the rainwater for when it rains so I can have infinite water source in the future. I also put those diamonds to good use and made a healer. And with all this iron that was coming out of my furnaces, I made full iron armor and tools. And back to mining cobblestone because I ran out again. On day 58, my iron was still smelting, and I also had cooked apricorns that I had been planting, which had a combination that was like no other because this would make me Pokeballs. Infinite Pokeballs. So I put my lids with a button, and all of a sudden I had Pokeballs. With these Pokeballs, I started catching all kinds of Pokemon. Here I caught Electrike, and then I got bored and just started throwing the Pokeballs everywhere. And then I took a few days just to gather materials. I needed lots of wood and lots of cobblestone, and I've been doing so much training, as you can see with my PIXELMON levels on the left, that I actually hadn't spent the time to collect resources like I know you have to in Skyblock. So I spent quite a bit of time just mining and destroying trees and getting cobblestone and wood, and I actually decided to replace all of that cobblestone with wood to make it look nicer, and here I am farming a bunch of birch wood. And here's a little tree farm I made too. After all that work, I got to work doing another building project. This one would be kind of unique in the way that it was a circular spherical shape, and this would be to, I don't know, have some more PIXELMON spawns outside of what's just right next to my house. I was starting to run out of ideas of what to build in SKYBLOCK because I felt pretty limited with my materials. And here's the finished tree farm, and I also made an apricorn farm so I could plant all my apricorns. And this is the little spawning platform that I made that doesn't completely work yet, but I'll work on it. And I also made another healer. I was starting to get more and more materials here, so things like PCs were easy, and I even got Porygon parts for it. When I got to the Nether, I put down a PC and a healer, and got to work training up some PIXELMON to evolve and train levels and all kinds of good stuff, and collect iron because I had a project in mind that I wanted to use with the iron later on. We're getting pretty far in the challenge, and I realized that I needed a team. Here I made a Haunter trade simulate to a Gengar because I wanted Gengar on my final team. I needed 6 slots, and I knew that I already wanted Charizard to be in the final team. So I started going out and catching Pokemon and training Pokemon up like Pidgeot to be on my final team. It was now day 76, and I was back at Jagged Peaks training up my Pokemon and evolving them all over the place. And then days 77 to 81, I went back to the grind, mining up all kinds of resources and cutting down trees, and working on a second project that I wanted to do with my base, which was expand my house, because I had this wimpy little house and not a lot of protection against falling into the void again, so I started putting down fences everywhere. And I also found this boss, Ampharos, and trust me, I tried battling it a few times. I could not get close, even with my level 70 Charizard. So yeah, don't want to talk about it. And then here I am expanding my base. It was finally time. I had collected all these resources. You guys know it took me a while, and yeah, I was really happy that with the look here, just with cobblestone and oak wood. It made me feel like I was back in old school Minecraft, even though I probably could have used a few more wood types. I was really happy about how this turned out, and I went back to mining cobblestone again because I needed more for stone bricks to make the floors of my house look at least a little bit nicer. Yeah, this took a few days more than I wanted it to take, but I was really happy with all the progress, except for the mouse infestation that I can't even explain. I don't know why all these guys start spawning, but it got real annoying. And on day 87, I beat a boss Ampharos. Finally, they had been harassing me this whole time, and I got a Mega Stone, which got me this little crystal tiara that I could wear. And with that, I could also catch a Mareep and in the future evolve it into a Mega Ampharos. Back in the Nether, I was training up, getting more iron, and I was even evolving Pokemon like Mayanetric and Mareep so I could get their Mega Evolutions. After some training, I finally had an Ampharos and Mega Evolved him for the first time to get Mega Ampharos. Man, is this thing tanky. And I did the same with Mayanetric to get Mega Mayanetric. Flying home to my base, this was all the progress I had made. I thought it was pretty cool to see it in an aerial view. And I had some shulker shells that I got from killing turtles in the Nether. And yeah, I was getting all sorts of birch slabs so I can work on one final project that I wanted to do for the last 10 days of this challenge, which you'll see very soon. This project involved building, and it was something in the shape of a Pokeball, or at least I tried. Listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not a geometry major. This didn't work out well for me, but I also found a shiny Tandy Mouse on day 92, but I'm honestly not that excited. The shiny looks just like the regular form. Wah wah. Here we are, days 93 and 94. I did some final tuning up of my team until I was ready to unveil it in the final minutes of the video. And you can see this project I'm working on, which I got a lot of spawnable blocks from killing mobs at the Jagged Peaks biome. And with these blocks like andesite and granite and diorite, I would be able to spawn all sorts of Pokemon on this platform. And I had quite a few Pokeballs built up, so I started throwing these all over the place to catch all the Pokemon here. From doing this, I'm sure I caught a few Pokemon, or at least I was sure until I looked and I only caught Ponyta? Are you kidding me? That's lame. Here I am building up some more fences leading up to my special platform. And I could tell I was almost done with what my vision was, and I had 5 more days to do it. So on day 95, an Entei spawned at my Jagged Peaks biome, the first legendary spawn, and I tried battling it, and I had only Pokeballs to catch it, so I knew the odds weren't great. And after a while, it just got so tough to even try to catch it, I just had to say goodbye. I got fire gems though, which was kind of cool. Day 96, my rain bucket finally filled up, and that means I had unlimited water. So I took the water that I had gotten from the very beginning and made an infinite water source. So now I can do all kinds of fun stuff with this water, like making a big pool, or at least I tried. But nothing spawned in it. I thought like Magikarp or something would spawn in it, but I probably just didn't do it right. But on day 96, this is my little pond. I also decided to rename all of my Pokemon just to fun names. They don't honestly mean a whole lot, but yep, Ghost, Unicorn, Zappy, Twins, Soli, and Tyrant. And on day 96, I was actually able to finish the platform. I made the top half leaves to do something special, and I also found a boss Furret, which went down pretty quickly because Furret is not very tanky. Rare candy. Coming up on the last few days of this 100-day challenge, I battled a Turtonator and took him out, but more importantly in this clip, a Regidrago spawned right next to me. The good thing about legendaries is they always spawn right next to me because I'm in Skyblock. So I did the same thing as Entei, tried my hardest, but then there was actually kind of a glitch with him falling off the platform, so I had to end the battle, and by that time he was already long gone in the void, never to be seen again. With some last final training, I was able to get a Tyranitar to evolve from my Pupitar, which came from a Larvitar that I found in the Jagged Peaks biome. And by this time, I've done a lot of nether training, and you can see just how much iron I had gotten from all those hone edges. I went up to my final platform and worked on a project I'd been thinking about for a while, which was to make a giant Pokeball, just because I feel like that symbolizes what the challenge is, PIXELMON in Skyblock. It's kind of hard to obtain this much iron in general, so it was kind of a fun challenge to work up to this. And this is my final funny looking project. It was day 100, and I want to thank you for watching this video. But before I sign off, let me show you my team: Tyranitar, Charizard, Pidgeot, Ampharos, Mousehold, and Gengar. In this video, I spent 100 days playing PIXELMON in Skyblock. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in future videos.